What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you are listening to this / watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that like button. It's like walking into the room without turning on the lights. And let's just get into this conversation / reality chat, sort of. And this is going to be about Nene Leakes. So she recently was interviewed by the vlogger Larry Reid on his show Larry Reid Live. And I listened to some of the interview. I'm going to listen to the entire interview just to get more information and see if I need to share more of my thoughts. But I heard this portion of the interview where Larry Reid asked Nene about her relationship with Kandi. And if he feels, not if he feels, but asking her if what she feels is the reason why they just never really clicked. So Nene, she responds to say that she never had an issue with Kandi, and she feels that it's more the reverse, and that Kandi has an issue with her. Now, if any of you have watched The Real Housewives of Atlanta from the very beginning, okay, Kandi, she was brought on to the second season. Nene started on the first season. Nene says that she feels that Kandi was jealous of her because she was like the OG and that people were more interested in her and they felt like she was really the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Like she is RHOA. So she feels that Kandi is jealous of her. And I beg to differ. I don't really get what... Nene, to me, she's one of those people, she's going to believe what she believes, and there's just really no reasoning with her at all. And that's one of the things that really frustrated me about her when she was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, because there were so many things that happened where it was like, what are we all seeing and looking at and not seeing the same thing, to see that she is the consummate victim and always making everything about her. If you recall the season when Claudia Jordan was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, I believe that was season 7. It's the only season that Claudia Jordan was on. Claudia, she definitely gave it to Nene, whether you like Claudia or not. I do. She gave it to Nene, but she did because Nene was asking for it. And I do feel that Claudia held back a good bit because she just didn't want to be seen as this like pit bull that was always coming to chomp at Nene's ankles. So I do believe that Claudia held back. But when they had that therapy session with Dr. Jeff, Nene, she approached Dr. Jeff about having this session because she said, these girls, she was making it about these girls have the problem and I want to see if you can fix it. And Dr. Jeff told her flat out, look, I'm not just going to come to see what their issues are. I'm going to hold everyone accountable, and that's including you. And at the time when he said that, she's like, well, of course. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less. But when it got to that, she could not take it. She got up and she stormed out. And when Dr. Jeff was following her, like, she was so insulting to this professional doctor, licensed professional. She was so insulting to him and said, you need to go worry about your license. And he was like, really, Nene? Like, I was like, this is crazy. But at that session, I bring all of that up to say, at that session, Kandi was calling her out. And Kandi was saying, what it really was. And Nene didn't like it. And so Kandi, she has always, from the very beginning of her time being on this show, been just easygoing and laid back. Always. And I believe that Nene felt threatened by the fact that this woman is now on this show where it was women who were not famous. And now that Nene had gotten to the point where she had some status and it was growing, people were recognizing her and becoming familiar with her and all of those different things like that. I believe that she felt that Kandi was going to take some of her shine. And that's the way I saw it. It's my opinion, just being beautifully honest. I felt that she was threatened by the fact that here's this woman who's already a celebrity. She's already famous. And now she's on the show with all of us. And she's getting the opportunity. And we are people that were not famous, were not known. And I'm now feeling a little bit threatened by that. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair. It's similar to some celebrities when the reality show thing started to be newer, and reality stars were getting opportunities to get on television shows and try out for parts and things like that, going up against people who are seasoned industry professionals. Like if you ever watched Hollywood Divas, that was actually a show that was created by Carlos King and Todd Tucker, who is, as we know, Kandi's husband. And if you watch that show, if you watch the first season, Golden Brooks, who used to be on the show Girlfriends, she played Maya Wilkes on Girlfriends. Lisa Wu, who used to be on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, she was on that show as well. And Golden, she made it known that she had a problem with people like Lisa because she was like, those of us who are trained, who are educated, who went to school for this, and like, this is what we do for a living. Now we're having to compete with people like you. And she didn't say it in those exact words, so I'm not verbatim quoting her, but that's exactly what she meant. I feel that it was the reverse with Nene, but she just never came out and said it. But Golden was honest about it. Nene isn't. Nene felt threatened by the fact that this is a show of women who were essentially unknowns, and now you're bringing someone onto the show who was already a celebrity, and I don't think that's fair. I just believe that Nene needs to be honest about that, but she isn't going to, because Nene is the type of person that is always going to flip it and reverse it and make it seem like it's not what it is. So when she said in that interview with Larry Reid that she never had a problem with Kandi, she feels that Kandi had the problem with her, she is not being honest. And it is so frustrating, but this woman is just not going to change. She is who she is. She's settled in her ways. She's comfortable with being in that state. And that's just what it is at this point. But I really could not take it when I was hearing her say this. And I know Kandi, if she hears this, she's somewhere saying, oh my God, what is it with this woman? She just cannot take me. She has a case of can't take when it comes to Kandi. And I agree. But I just really wanted to talk about that, as well as Nene's delusion when it comes to her thinking that she will have an opportunity to ever get back on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, or, to be honest, anything that has to do with Bravo TV, NBC Universal. You cannot be employed with a company, get out there in the public and spew a lot of things, even if those things may be true. But I'm just saying, you're out there spewing a lot of negative comments, and then you sue them, and you think that there's ever going to be some space in their venue or in their genre or their shows, their reality outlets, whatever they produce and promote, that they would ever consider bringing Nene Leakes back on anything that they have to offer. It will never work because the relationship is fractured, it's obliterated, it's destroyed. And that's just really what it is at this point. So I just believe that she's being delusional when she thinks that there's an opportunity for her to ever come back from that. She says that they're still in litigation and nothing has really been resolved at this point. The lawsuit portion has just been pulled. So I guess they're going to be going through court-ordered mediation, which I believe was in her contract. But I just have to say, when it comes to Nene and with the unfortunate things that's happened in her life, with her husband passing away, and more recently, with her youngest son, Brent, who reportedly had a seizure and a stroke, I believe, which is not normal for someone his age. She's going through a lot right now, so she's even wanting to sell her lounge, the Lanithia Lounge, because I'm sure that's a lot on her. And she said that was really a passion of her husband and her son, and her husband isn't here anymore, and her son is just not in a place where he can handle it. So She just really wants to be done with it. It's really sad when you think about those things. But when I think about everything else, and to have her do this interview recently with Larry Reid and to just say these things that she said in this interview, it just is like, man, she really hasn't changed. And it just seems like that's just going to be the way it is. But you cannot sue a company and think that you're ever going to have an opportunity to ever work there again. I'll share a little quick story with you guys and then I'll end it. But my husband, he was in a car accident on the job. He was working, he was traveling for work, and he was in a car accident. Someone hit him from behind. He was 100% not at fault, my husband. So the company that he was working with, my husband got an attorney for the car accident, of course, and the company, the attorney that's representing him, they're representing him as a workers' compensation attorney as well as personal injury. And so with the settlement agreement, it was that he would have to resign his position and no longer work at the company. I didn't feel that that was fair, but the way it is with these legalities, it's a conflict of interest, I guess, with these companies to have someone who was working there that is suing to have them still working at the company. So I'm saying that to say, with my husband's situation, he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't get out there and blast the company and say anything negative about them. He was in a car accident and he was injured, and it was while he was on a job, so it wound up being a workers' compensation situation. And so because of the litigation, they would no longer employ him. And I didn't think it was fair, but that's just really what it is. So when it comes to someone like Nene, who's out here blasting Bravo TV, Andy Cohen, calling him a racist, saying the network is racist, NBC Universal saying they blackballed her, took away opportunities that she had on the table, and all of these other things like that, there's no way that they would ever work with her again. So she really is delusional, and I don't know what attorney she's speaking to that's making her think that she has the opportunity to ever come back from this with them. But it's just not going to happen, sweetheart. Sorry to tell you. But you guys let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comment section. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. And until the next time, this is Beth, and I'm just being beautifully honest.